How to teach vocabulary. According to the text called Current Research and Practice in Teaching Vocabulary, there are three different approaches to teach vocabulary, and each approach must fulfill some principles to be developed correctly, and teachers must be capable to carry them out successfully. For the incidental learning approach, we have provide opportunities for the incidental learning of vocabulary. Provide opportunities for the incidental learning of vocabulary means that teachers should give students the chance to have exposure to extensive reading and listening, since both are a natural way in which people are exposed to vocabulary in any language. However, teachers must be aware of the amount of exposures that they are going to give students for a specific word, because learning vocabulary through context needs several exposure for learners to get the meaning of a word correctly and to keep it in memory. For the explicit instruction approach we have diagnose which of the 3,000 most common words learners need to study. Exposing students to high-frequency words and general academic words is vital because it ensures learners' effective reading. However, it might be difficult for teachers to choose which vocabulary to teach and the amount of it. So what teachers can do is to use nations, which is a tool to find high-frequency words. So the process of vocabulary selection becomes easier. Provide opportunities for the intentional learning of vocabulary. Provide opportunities for the intentional learning of vocabulary means that teachers should teach vocabulary emphasizing the 3,000 most frequent words explicitly, since it contributes to vocabulary development, especially for students with a low proficiency level, whose reading comprehension is limited for the lack of it. So teachers should expose learners to vocabulary until they can recognize the meaning and form of vocabulary in an automatic way. It's important to say that translation has a vital role in L2 vocabulary learning. To teach unfamiliar vocabulary, learners need to see more than just the form in order to store them in the memory. Provide opportunities for elaborating word knowledge. It's understood that knowing a word is more than just knowing its meaning in learners L1. So, elaborating word knowledge means that teachers must ensure learners' successful use of vocabulary in an L2 context. In order to do this, teachers must provide learners opportunities to meet a specific word with grammatical related patterns, affixes, common lexical sets, typical associations, and how to use the word receptively and productively. Whether each word should be taught deeper or given more emphasis in the productive or receptive aspect will depend on each teacher and their learner's context. Some examples to do this are to generate derivatives, inflections, synonyms, or antonyms. Provide opportunities for developing fluency with non-vocabulary. It is very important for students to know the words in a text in order to develop fluency, which means that fluency can be developed through reading. There are different activities that can be used to improve fluency, like timed and paced reading. With timed reading, it is expected to improve learners' fluency by sliding a piece of paper down the page while trying to comprehend about 80% of the passage. With paced reading, the teacher determines the time and pushes the students to read faster. For the independent strategy development approach, we have experiment with guessing from the context. In order to guess from the context, students need to know at least 95% of the words of a text. Although this strategy might be time-consuming, it's a great help for vocabulary learning. The successful use of this strategy will depend not only on the complexity of the test, but also on the student's proficiency levels. That's why it is considered that it's more likely to work in students with high proficiency levels. However, the teacher can help students by highlighting the words they should try to infer. After that, when the learners decide that the word is worth guessing, 5 steps should be followed. Those steps are: first, decide the part of the speech of the unknown word. Second, look at the immediate context, trying to simplify it. Third, look at the wider context, making relationships between the sentences. Fourth, guess the meaning of the word. And 5, check if the meaning is correct. Examine different types of dictionaries and teach students how to use them. Training students about the use of dictionaries, it is very important because they know a lot of information before having a resolution about the meaning of the word. Teachers should highlight the importance of checking a word real context and comparing them of how it is being used in the text to know if it has the same meaning. There are different types of dictionaries that can be very useful for students, like bilingual dictionaries, bilingualized dictionaries, and electronic dictionaries. Bilingual dictionaries. They provide one synonym of the word in L1, and it can be a great help for students with low proficiency levels. Bilingualized dictionaries. They include L2 definitions, L2 sentence examples, as well as L1 synonyms. They play the role of both bilingual and monolingual dictionaries. Electronic dictionaries. They provide images together with the text, since in that way, words are learned more efficiently. There are different ways which are essential for teaching vocabulary to learners. And these are teacher-fronted explanation or elicitation and student-centered task. Teacher-fronted elicitation or explanation is the style of teaching in which the teacher directly guides the classroom activities through lectures. In the classroom, there is only one person, either the teacher or the student, speaking at one time, while all the others in the class listen and observe. The interaction is solely between the teacher and the students. Here, teachers can ask students if they know the words. You can even show pictures while doing this. This is elicitation. If teachers stand in front of the class and explain the new word, that is explanation. Teacher-fronted explanation or elicitation. As an example, before a reading task, the teacher writes some words on the board. Words that appear on the text, but that students might not know. So before doing the task,
The teacher explains the meaning of the words, which are needed for students to understand the text fully. Then, the teacher can ask, "Now, did you understand the meaning of these words?" If the student's answer is yes, then the teacher can say, "You can start reading now."
A student-centered vocabulary task is a teaching style which consists on learning a list of words by means of a task. In this style of teaching, the teacher doesn't have a main role, but students do.